And we go to the United States. Our senior correspondent, Mike Wagenheim, there at the State Department. Mike, I know you've covered this visit, called that very closely, as close as anyone could. Some 3-hour meeting, lots of head scratching here. All we really got was one photo and a vague, from the president. I insisted that we keep negotiating. What do you take away from this?
Oh, that's a loaded question, what to take away from this. We have to base it on history. So we'll base it on the history of what Donald Trump has done and what Prime Minister Netanyahu has done. Almost every meeting that Prime Minister Netanyahu has had with President Trump, he has posted on social media. There's been videos. There's been departing messages showing the strength of the U.S.-Israel relationship and all the things that the Prime Minister accomplished on the trip. There was one particular trip, it was early in this second term, where Netanyahu was invited. He was in Hungary, and he was invited to visit Trump at the White House, ostensibly to talk about tariffs shortly after Trump announced his Liberation Day global tariffs. But it was, in fact, to pass along a message to Netanyahu that secretly negotiations had started with Iran on a potential nuclear pact. Well, Netanyahu departed Washington very quietly and landed in Jerusalem, or Tel Aviv rather, very quietly, didn't say anything about the trip, and it was indicative that it wasn't a pleasant experience, so to say, and there was nothing to brag about. So, if past is any indication, the fact that there's not much coming out of this, that Netanyahu has barely said a word about it, just a short a message from the Prime Minister's office that really didn't say much of anything, no video's been released of smiling faces, nothing like that. Again, we go by the past, it's indicative that he's not getting what he wants. In addition to that, the message from President Trump yesterday in his Truth Social post was that he insisted, he used that word, I insist, right, that negotiations with Iran continue. Well, if you're insisting, that's an inference that the other party has a disagreement with that they think it should go in a different direction. So there is some disagreement. Now, should that disagreement be blown out of proportion and, oh my gosh, there's this chasm between Trump and Netanyahu? Again, that's dangerous ground. We've been through it before, and I think it's been proven to be too much sometimes to go in that direction, especially with some of the misdirection, intentional misdirection that Trump and Netanyahu have employed vis-a-vis Iran and the nuclear talks. But again, taking away the kind of reading between the lines and the tea leaves there, it leaves the interpretation that things did not go great for Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday.